And on a larger level, I just see a better working world when we're all talking about potential, because it's the language that explores uniqueness and not competition. It also allows for ambition while also being generous. And that's a future of work I can start getting excited about. I think you could too. So I want welcome to today's show. It is nice to see some familiar faces and some new faces and all of the good stuff. Welcome to the newest series. We're going to give a couple more seconds for some folks to join, and then we are going to jump in the deep end to today's show, which is all about the future you. I think we have a quorum. So first, welcome again. And I want to do something kind of weird to start out this. I want to introduce you to yourself. Let me explain a tiny bit here. First, there's this concept of the now you. And the now you is a combination of your skills and what you've done and your accomplishments and who you are today. And now you is brilliant, all of the things. What I already know about the now you is a couple of things. One, you're really good at getting things done. Heck, you showed up today, so that's a very good first sign. Two, I know you're a team player and known for being collaborative. Three, I know you've got the skills and experience to get the job done. And four, I know you're an expert at what you do. You have a huge list of accomplishments that you should be proud of. Now, everything I just described, the now you, is the story of you up until this very moment right now. By the way, congratulations for getting this far, because you are fantastic. But today's show is not about the past you or even the now you. It's about something else. And if you're here, I'm guessing it's because you're a little curious and excited about who that somebody else could be. And that somebody else is who I call the future you. It's who you are going to be tomorrow. It's who you want to be in the future. It's all of the paths ahead of you. And in the working world, the future is working on new problems, valued for their ability to think, learning new things, having an impact that matters, is growing, whatever your ambitions for the future you might be. That's who that person is. It's also, when you think about why you are chosen for your job, for a project, for a promotion, who people are actually evaluating. Now, are they justifying it based on the now you or the past you? Absolutely. But the ultimate question is, does the person who is choosing you believe that you are the right person to do whatever it is they need you to do in the future? So here's my first question. When you engage with people, your boss, your employees, your customers, your business partners, whoever, are you teaching them about the now you, or are you teaching them about the future you? And if you were collaborating with somebody and trying to find out something about them, wouldn't you want it to be both? I think it should be. Because the now you is who you are and what makes you who you are to this point in time. It's about 50% of why you are uniquely awesome, because the other 50% is who you will be tomorrow. And when it comes to this idea of future you, we all can imagine who this person is, but we don't talk about them. It's almost like we paint pictures in our head. The same way, absolutely every single one of you listening in today is painting a picture of who is Joanna going to be on this show? What is she talking about? Well, she just launched into this whole thing. Like, you are staying on the call because you believe the future Joanna is going to say something that might be helpful to you. And now I'm going to wait and see if anybody hangs up or stops watching the video. I hope not. Because yeah, that's exactly what I mean I'm here for today. And I am baffled that in this working world that we live in today, in this world we live in today, why are we not being clear about who the future you is? So A, people can choose us much easy. And B, we get to actually offer who we are and who we want to be. And if there is no lesson we have learned from the last 18 months post-pandemic, that the future could be just a weensy bit ambiguous, I don't know what we've learned. And so if you're coming out of the last year or so, or you're still coming out of the last year or so of crazy, I think it's time to get intentional. It's time to take ownership, and it starts time to start talking about the future you, because it is the person everybody is choosing, and you do not have to be silent. So start talking about the future you, and I guarantee you, and yes, I say that strongly, that your professional dreams can start to manifest. They actually become professional reality as opposed to a fantasy. And that's what I want you all to be able to do. Okay. I just said a bunch of stuff, which if you're a newbie to the Joanna world, you're all like, wait, what? If you are not a newbie to the Joanna world, I'm sure you're all like, oh, yes, that again. I am going to keep saying this out loud until people start to do things. The good news is people do things. I actually got a text about 10 minutes ago, or right before the show started, from somebody who has been going through the Future You program with us. And not only did she find a job, but she negotiated an awesome salary and now has an awesome job and is moving across the country and is all very excited. We are super excited for her. There will be champagne this weekend. But it's also not just about new jobs. We had somebody else this week who is actually staying at her company and got a new boss and is trying to navigate how does she live in this new world with a new boss, because when you get a new boss, you have to re-audition for your job and teach them about the future you there as well. And so we're helping her navigate. So we've had lots of good news this week, but you are here because we want to invest in you, and I want you to invest in you. So welcome to the show. You have started a new adventure. I'm very excited about this, and you can continue on this adventure with us and actually tune in every 2 weeks, because we have shows lined up through September that we want you to come to. We'll also be sharing these on YouTube if you can't come to the show and can't come live, but as you know, there are benefits to showing up live. And you've already made this much of an investment in the future you by showing up today. And it's ultimately one of the best bets that you can make. And I want you to continue to do so. But let me go through some of the logistics first. So first, I want you to introduce yourself to Kelly. Hey, wave Kelly to everybody on the phone. She will be, if you haven't already seen, in your chat room. And so if I'm talking about a resource or referencing a link, or much to Kelly's, or if I mention an article I've written in the past because somebody asked a question, she'll be all like, let me go find it. She'll be dropping all of those resources in the chat. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, all of those resources will be in the show notes. Kelly will be doing that too. Kelly is your champion on this journey. And if you are here live, stick around at the end, because if you are not aware, we have prizes and giveaways if you show up and talk to me in person. We want to make sure that happens. So we'll be giving away a 30-minute session with me later in the show. We'll also be stopping the show and opening up for open Q&A. I know a couple of you have already submitted questions and a bit of heads up because you're like, I want to volunteer. Again, for those of you that are new to the show, volunteering always a good idea. But third, I have an activity for you to do because we are going to be interactive today. I would like you to go to the link that Kelly is sharing in chat and/or see what I am sharing on the screen right now. So go to slido.com. You can also, by the way, just do the little QR code with your camera and it'll bring up the link for you. And enter code 33445 because we are going to be doing some interactive work. For those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, no worries. You can still participate. We're just not going to see your results live because you're not here. And I hope you come to the next one. Okay. So I said I wanted you to do some interactive and then I wanted you to play along with me. And so let's go ahead and get started. Let me pop up the first question. Here's my first question. So I've been talking about this whole concept of the future you and who that might be. And my question is do you know who the preferable future you is? It's actually kind of a big question. Do you know how to talk about him or her in a bold, unique, and compelling way? Do you know how to teach people why she's really awesome? If you're stuck with this question, I want you to take a moment and think about this. Do you know who you want to be in like 5 months, 5 years? Start creating that picture. And if all of that seems awfully overwhelming, like really bullet in and say like, who do I want to be? I don't know, 5 months from now. What are you doing? How are you adding value? Where are you making impact? What kind of people are you working with? What kind of problems are you solving? How much are you getting paid? And what are you known for? Start to think about who that is when I think about that question of, do you know who the future you is? Because where I want you to be able to go eventually, as you go through all of these experiences, not only have a really clear answer to the question, do you know who the future you is do other people. So hopefully by now, you have gone in and answered the questions. Let's go have a look and hear what people, we have some ideas, but not totally clear seems to be the winner this week. Interesting that nobody has a clear vision and could explain it to anybody who asks. You are not alone, FYI, because it's rare that I run into somebody, well, I run into 2 different situations. Either people have ideas and they're not totally clear, or they don't think they have an idea. And actually, as we start to unpack things, they actually do. And so whatever category you're in, we are. Okay. So for those of you, well, we didn't have anybody who said, I have a clear vision, so I'm going to skip that. But if you said I have a clear vision, but find it hard to explain it to others, I feel you. Explaining it to others who you are and why you're awesome is hard because you are a unique and complicated person. And I'm guessing that you have been taught that it is really not awesome to brag about yourself. And you've been taught that actually humility is kind of one of the things that is awesome about people. That's okay. We are not going to teach you to brag here. We're going to teach you how to manage that balance between being authentically you and also clear about who you are and who the future you is. And so in essence, self-promoting you, teaching people who the future you is. Really awesome space to be in. So if those of you have a clear vision, strap on in because we're going to continue on this journey. For those of you that have ideas and are not totally clear, as you can see, you are not alone. I would actually say that about 95% of the people who work with me are here. Figuring out who you want to be in the future is actually a lifelong journey. And I think it's disappointing that we stopped talking about this somewhere, I don't know, in college. I don't know about the rest of you, but I have reinvented multiple times and certainly reinvented over this past year. And for those of you that are in the, I have no idea, you are also, as you can see, not alone. And here's a bit of a secret. I would say about 5 years ago, I would have answered this particular question exactly the same way. I had no job. I had no plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I was waiting for that bolt of inspiration to hit me in the head, which I guess it did eventually. but I wouldn't say that it was a bolt of inspiration. I would say it was more of a slow hunch that kept on growing and reminding me, even up until yesterday, that this is the path that I should be on. So if you're in the no idea, just start looking a little, because we're going to start finding you. Okay. I need a volunteer. And if you saw the email from Kelly prior to the show, we should have somebody already keyed up. Kelly, who is our first volunteer?
Our first
do that with that.
Yes, our first person is Rachel Campos D. Ivanov.
Rachel, it is awesome to see you. I see you on notes. Spoiler alert, I actually know who Rachel is, and she's awesome. I was very excited to see you coming and all the things. I don't even want to think about how long it has been since I spoke to you last, but fabulous. And so absolutely awesome that, Rachel, you are a person. While I absolutely know who Rachel was, I knew who Rachel was 5-6 years ago. It's been a while.
When you had that last big job and you were working for a company before you
I know, before I decided, no more working for the man. I'm going to work for the people. Awesome. So tell me, which of the answers, like, where are you in the, who do you know who the future you being? What was your answer?
Have ideas, but I'm not totally clear.
Okay. And just so everybody can know really quickly, let's just pretend, for shits and giggles, that I'm your new boss, and or I'm interviewing you, because this could be either scenario, right? How do you describe what you do?
I think part of why it's a challenge for me is that I have so many different versions of me. And I've been on the hunt for so long, almost since I last worked with you, Joanna. So if I was going to describe me, I'm a very empathic, relationship-driven person who likes to work on projects that I'm deeply personally passionate about. And I also always like to operate with integrity.
Okay. Only because you haven't been to the show before, we are now going to ask the community for feedback. Because you remember how I said earlier in this presentation that at every interaction, you are teaching people about the future you. You just taught this entire room and everybody watching on YouTube who you are and what you're all about. No pressure, right? So I want everybody to go back to their Slido real quick. And knowing that Rachel is trying to figure out who she is and what she's all about, let's go to the second question. This is completely anonymous, so you can be actually, the more honest here you are, the better. Do you get why Rachel is uniquely awesome? If you were going to refer her in for a job or hire her or introduce her to somebody, ooh, somebody thinks you're awesome. We've got an 8 in there. What kind of score? So we've got a pretty broad range. My guess is because I see some other familiar faces, there's some people who already know you are awesome. Well, we've got a pretty broad range, but we're coming in at a 5.7. Not bad. 5.6. Well, we're going to say like a 5 to 6. I'm guessing, Rachel, you want to do a little better than that.
That'd be great.
So let's do the fairy godmother magic and judge this whole situation a little bit. And for those of you who do not know, the fairy godmother magic, while I am absolutely the potentialist, like, my magic skill is I can talk to anybody. And I've talked to everybody from military individuals to media to celebrities, all the way through to a 14-year-old. And I will tell you, I was very nervous doing that because I didn't want to damage her in any way. And I can see who somebody can be unbelievably easily. It is a gift that has been bestowed to me, and I like to spread it as much as possible. But enough about me. The other piece is I'm also the fairy godmother. I just want to remind everybody that when the fairy godmother met Cinderella, she did not talk about what Cinderella was doing what she'd done or her team or any of that sort of stuff. Like she did not talk about how her boss was kind of a psycho and that if she learned how to work with her a little better, she would do better. She actually said Cinderella, and Rachel, in this scenario, you are Cinderella. She actually said to her, what's your ball? Where is it you want to go? And by the way, if you show up at the front gate because you want to go to the ball in this sad little outfit and no fly ride, they are not even going to let you on the property. And so the fairy godmother's job was not only to help well, in this case, Rachel see her future, but actually judge the whole situation. So the people around her could say yes to the future you. So I need to benchmark again as a second. So Rachel, if you were going to talk about what you do in kind of boring resume language, and I do think resumes are boring, different conversation for a different day if you want that one, but like what sort of jobs are you thinking of applying for? Just give me a couple of titles.
Strategic account management.
Okay. And you still want to stay in media?
No.
Oh, what do you want to get into?
I'm actually really interested in the augmented reality, extended reality landscape, an emerging industry.
Okay. So go look for the video where I talk about, here we go, Kelly, I'm very sorry. Go look for the video where I talk about the email template that you need to use to help people introduce you. Go watch it, create the email, send it to me, because I know an awesome woman who runs an augmented virtual reality company who is always looking for talent, and I would be more than happy to introduce you, but do the work for me. Pro tip to anybody, this again, if you are looking for a job, is one of the easiest things that you can do so people can put you in the consideration set, because yes, I knew Rachel wanted a job. Did I know where? No. And when you are teaching people about the future you, vagary makes it really hard for people to help you. Clarity does not. However, strategic account management in augmented reality is good. Well, actually, real quick, is anybody else on the call in the augmented virtual reality space who can hook Rachel up? We got any? Ping her on chat. Oh, Kyle. Kyle is also awesome. Rachel pinged Kyle, get her contact information, get connected there. Again, this is how the magic has happened. So I need you to brag for just a second. Why are you really good at strategic account management?
I'm a very relationship driven person. And, when I was working in media, I really, really enjoyed digging deep into my client's business and developing a very a visceral understanding of what their business challenges were. And then I would come back and tailor my solutions to meet their needs. So it was a very client-centric, client-first approach.
And why is it you could okay, so that's one. Give me something else.
I enjoy being an industry expert and also serving as a resource to them. This is actually something that I learned very, very early on in my career when I first met Joanna. We were working at CNET Networks, and that was one of the things they taught us. If you're going to be in sales, you're not pushing something, you're really acting as an extension of their marketing team.
Okay. Then give me something really different about you that a customer or a company might be like, who knew? Like, what is a weird special skill that you have that nobody else does?
Oh, goodness. I'm very good at reframing a conversation and putting myself in the client's shoes to try and make sure that they fully understand that I'm listening to them and that I'm hearing them, and that I am adjusting whatever I'm whether it's a project I'm working on from a marketing perspective or a sales program, that I'm really hearing what their needs are and bringing them something that is of value to them.
Okay. Okay, so the next time somebody asks you why you are uniquely awesome or something to that effect, I want you to say something like the following. As somebody who aspires to be a strategic account manager in the augmented virtual reality space, I think there's three key things that you need to bring to the table. One, at the beginning, a visceral understanding of the client and who they are and what they need. It's a very client first approach. Second, a rich and resourceful understanding of the space that we're in. When you are managing a relationship, your job is not just to ask them to buy more, but is to be their partner and helping them maximize the opportunity. And you do all of that through what I call the listen and reframe approach. If you're listening properly, you can then reframe almost anything to help them understand the opportunity. This three-phase approach is ultimately what I call the extension of other approach. And that's what I bring to the table. I even drew you a picture, albeit a really shitty one, which I did originally as a Venn diagram, but because I basically described a process, like you need to draw the process. Because remember, folks, images are 6,000 times more memorable than words. But I told a story. Okay, now I'm going to put myself on there. Now that we've had that little conversation and I've drawn the little picture and done all of the things, y'all get to grade me now. Take another stab at it. Do you get now why Rachel is uniquely awesome? Do I want to look? I'm not sure I do. Oh, hooray. Whoever did the first 10, I really appreciate it. Room for improvement. But hang on, how many have we got in the 10? Because I'm hiding my own scores from myself. Oh, lots of people in the 10. I'm very excited. But do you see how just a little zhuzh on the language that went from, and Rachel, I will say, I did ask you what it is, what was it about you? Language that went from very you focused to very them focused. And while all of this language was about you, it was not about you. It was actually about why would somebody else give a shit about you? And when you think about why people are choosing the future you, that's the story they want to hear. Because do I want you to be empathetic? Absolutely. Do I want you to be passionate about the work that you do? Totally. Do I want you to have integrity? 100%. But you know what? Those are features of you that they will find out. And my guess is if I asked anybody on this call, they would say, I am empathetic, passionate, and have high integrity. So while they are important, they're also kind of boring. So all good, but I want you to talk about how you think and specifically how you think in the future. And you'll notice that in setting up that, it is in essence teaching people rather than telling, which now I'm going to put somebody, who do I want to pick? I'm going to put Reed on the spot for just a second because I know she's usually game for anything. So Reed, for everybody, if you're doing this at home or saying, oh, I want to go do what Joanna just did for myself, one of my favorite questions is the question, what did you hear? Because when you ask the question, what do you hear? You get real feedback on what landed in the conversation. And second of all, it gives somebody who's already curious about you a practice session on how to talk about why you're awesome. So Reed, real quick, thinking about, I know it's been a little while, thinking about what I just said, what did you hear? Can you give us a summary?
Thanks, Joanna.
Welcome.
Yes, I heard that you need to understand a customer's business, and that Rachel is really good at learning and understanding her customers' businesses and helping them find the solutions that fit for them, and that she wants to do it in the augmented reality space. And that I heard a lot of the keywords, really, a visceral understanding, and made me get a sense that she's very thorough and really has deep knowledge.
Awesome. Thank you, Reed. Right, Rachel, how do you feel about because Reed, I know, does not know you.
Yeah, no, it sounds like, I think one of the takeaways that I get from that is that the language really matters, and some of the emotional language can leave that very lasting impression on someone, which can be a great thing, but it can also work against you.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for volunteering. For those of you that haven't been the show before, you will all know that this is something I do on a regular basis, just because I think it's the idea of show rather than tell is really important in all of this, because what I'm also known for saying is this slightly horrifying but very true statement of every decision made about you and your opportunities is made in a room that you're not in. And that room just now was this room, and was also Reed's head. And that room is choosing whether you get the job or the client or the project or the promotion, or even if you're the person to solve the problem that they have, that they need a brilliant person to solve. And if you are walking around saying, if you're walking around being boring, you're not standing out from the competition. And if you are walking around and not being compelling and unique, then you are running into those same sort of issues. And it's the clearer you are about who you are, what you want to be, and why that is useful to somebody else, the easier it is for them to choose them. Because in my world, I think career optimization happens. Like, you are awesome at your job and you love your job when both what you bring to the table as your unique characteristics, skills, et cetera, is recognized both by you saying, hey, they want me for this, but also for them to say, well, yeah, we do want you for this. And what it is you're going to do, what you're excited and curious about, the passion, all of those sorts of things exist concurrently. Because if you don't feel that your work matters, then often you're either bored or mad. And if you aren't excited about what it is you're going to do, you might be stuck. And so often in our careers, we do get bored or stuck, or if we're looking for a job, that's the same sort of thing. And it's actually about really focusing what that is so people can choose you. Then you get to decide whether you want to offer your awesome self to them. Because do also remember, in this entire conversation, it's a bidirectional marketplace. You get to choose them as much as they get to choose you. It's also why, if you're on this call and like, I'm not looking for a job, I have a job, I have an awesome team. I think this idea as a leader in an organization is even more critical. We go work for people as much as we work for companies. And we've all had a boss who has been clear about who they are. Sometimes maybe not to the best kind, but when people are clear about who they are as a leader in a team, then it is easier to follow them and get things done. So really think about this holistically, because it works across the board. So I want to give you a couple of examples. So I just did one with Rachel, but like in this question, like, who would you hire? The person who ran logistics, or a person who can visualize breaking points and areas to optimize in processes, both human and system? Couple more words, but tells a little bit more of a story. Here's the other one, like, who would you give a special product to? The person who ran purchasing and reduced costs by 20%, or the person who understands how to negotiate with vendors, understanding needs of today and the future organization, while also keeping an eye on the top line. Your resume is going to be, I reduced costs by 20%. Your language needs to paint the story of how you think and what you're going to do in the future, because the scenarios are different. And this is why I say every decision is made about you is made in the room that you're not in. We've all been taught to talk about our accomplishments in that room. We all seem to believe that we've been hired based on what's on our resume. And we all believe in the world of work, we're chosen based on our past, but we're not. In that room we're not in, people are describing and talking about your potential. They're talking about who you are going to be in the future. And this is why I'm going to be spending the next, 16 weeks in total, talking about how do you go on that adventure and not only figure out who that is, but figure out how to teach people, figure out how to learn what that is, figure out how to change it if you're on the wrong path, figure out all of the things. Because the clearer you are about who that person is, the easier it is for people to say yes. Because what you in the world of work are doing is you are selling a product, or you're renting a product. And that product is a subscription to your future time, which all comes back to this future you. I think I have belabored the point to no end. I hope you get it. So I'm going to come back to my original question on that. Who do you know who the future you is? And some of you may have shifted a tiny bit in the conversation today. So I've got answers for all of you. So if you say, and Rachel, I think you actually do now have a clear vision. If you say I have a clear vision and would explain it to anybody who asked, awesome. I want you to make it easy for people to choose you by creating a clear picture of your potential. Like this with Rachel. That's a very easy way of doing that. If you have a clear vision, but find it hard to explain to others, don't worry about this. Go out and do what I just did with Reed. Go out and practice a little bit. Go find people who are already, in essence, buying the future you and say, well, how do you describe how I'm uniquely awesome? I will warn you, you will get a lot of, well, you're really good at getting shit done, or you're really good at connecting people. Go deeper on that conversation, because remember, you want something unique. If you're in the bucket of I have ideas, but I'm not totally clear, again, you'd never take a product to market without beta testing it first. Go share some of your ideas with people who are champions of you. Actually, go find, and we're going to, in a future show, talk about ambition guides, but go find ambition guides, people who have made bets on you in the past, and say, I'm thinking of doing X. I have yet to take a job where I haven't gone back to some of my ambition guides and gone, what do you think? And I've absolutely gotten some feedback that at the time, like I think specifically, I was offered a job that was very high profile and very groovy and sexy. And I was very proud of myself about being chosen. And one of my ambition guides goes, don't work there, because they are not going to move fast enough for you. And I know you like to run at speed and you will be bored within 5 minutes. And the reality is I didn't end up taking the job, but when I really sat back down and got my ego out of that conversation, I realized he was 100% right. And I would have been bored, and it would have been a disaster for all of us. So go out and talk to people about what your ideas are. And especially if they're ambition guides, they're only going to want what's best for you, or look for potentialists. And if you're in the I have no idea space, weirdly, again, this is actually my favorite space. Why? Because anything is possible. And my advice to you is to start experimenting. Just test out really small ideas in really manageable ways and run experiments to say, like, do I like doing this? Do I not like doing this? And when I say experiments, like, run an experiment that will take you maybe an hour a week. I know I started there. It was an experiment that was an intersection of podcasting, 3D printing, and the fact that I just wanted to talk to people because I didn't have a job, that ultimately got me invited to the TED stage, which had me stand in line talking to a Microsoft executive where I called her boring and ended up with a job 6 weeks later. It can happen that fast, but only after you start acting. So I hope I have inspired you to start thinking about who the future you is and start being curious about that. But I also want you to act, because I can have all the ambitions in the world for you, but if you don't do something, nothing happens. So I am very excited to announce we have new ways you can do things. We have launched bi-weekly challenges for people who are looking for some help. What does this mean? Well, so the first challenge with this video and this episode is the Future You Challenge. We're going to have other challenges for other shows. We are going to start messaging you, and they're actually messages to me from me to you. Now, don't freak out. I'm not going to make you do anything. I talked about small experimental. Our goal is for no more than 10 minutes of your time every day. 10 minutes, like imagine a tiny little 10-minute investment every day over 2 weeks. What's going to happen? This is not just me sending a message. I know a couple of people who are on the call today have actually been part of this, and they've been seeing in the early testing the messages backwards, forwards. I do read everything. It's like you're getting coaching from me, but you're on the phone. So it is a two-way conversation, and we will be doing it together. And here's what I'm also going to say. I guarantee you that if you decide to do this and do all of the activities, 10 minutes a day over 2 weeks, shit is going to happen, because it does absolutely every single time. You will either learn that somebody is an ambition guide that you didn't know was, you are going to learn how to talk about the future you are going to get more comfortable doing it. Something will happen. And if it doesn't happen where you're like, whoa, hang on a second, something happened here, well, then ping us back and we will refund your money, because here's the last piece of this. This entire experience over 10 minutes a day for 2 weeks is $10. And I don't think that's too much to ask to make you commit to doing it. It's like going to the gym, but the gym for your career. So if you are interested in signing up for the challenge, I just want you to drop us your digits in the chat. So just give us your phone number. And if you want to, because of privacy, just send it to Kelly privately. That's okay too. Or if you actually look in the chat, Kelly has dropped a link in chat to share with you how you can just go ahead and sign up. I really hope you decide to, in whatever way you want to do this, invest in the future you, because again, the clearer you are, and the easier you make it for other people to see your potential, the more likely they are to say yes to you, the more likely you can actually start envisioning something really amazing for yourself. And on a larger level, I just see a better working world when we're all talking about potential, because it's the language that explores uniqueness and not competition. It also allows for ambition while also being generous. And that's a future of work I can start getting excited about. I think you could too. For those of you that are on YouTube, thank you again. Check out the show notes for all of the information on the challenges. You too can start on Monday. And go check out joannabloor.eventbrite.com for the following shows and sign up and register, because there is limited space. Thank you all for coming, and I will see you all in 2 weeks.